Hey, we back. I'm here on Karuta today, and oh boy, there sure is a lot to talk about Karuta. For me, recording this, we just had the Christmas event announced about an hour ago, and apparently all of the exchange rates have died. But what we're talking about today is Dojo, the new update, big update. K-Dojo is a command that exists, and it is demonstrating the fact that Dojo exists, so that's why I ran it. Dojo is a pretty big part of the bot now, I assume. It currently has no huge effect on the stuff that already exists, so there have been a lot of people that have been saying, oh, but it's rubbish, I want cosmetics and stuff, and apparently they will be added at some point. For now though, it's just a bit of fun, and to be fair, it is pretty fun. I'm a fan of this. If you are a player of OOBot or NotBot, it's not dissimilar actually. It's a battle system basically, closer to NotBot than OOBot, with OOBot not really having any choices, being automatic and being kind of basic battle system, to be perfectly honest with you. NotBot, however, you actually get to battle, you get to choose what you're doing, and this is kind of like that, so there you go. Anyway, yeah, battle system. We can use our cards now to battle, and there might be rewards at some point. It's pretty good. So I can have a look at my first team here, my only team actually so far. I'm using Yang, Hisoka and Eris, and you can see we've got a bit of information here. It shows the levels. You can level up the characters. Shows the car codes. We can edit their perks, we can swap them out, we can send them to fight, all the rest of it. Now, this video I will kind of just talk about how Dojo works, anything that you need to know to get started. Strategy-wise, I'm not going to touch on much of that stuff in this video. I will make other videos about Dojo. Definitely deserves other videos. It's a big enough update for that. And we can talk about strategy and things like that in the future. For now, though, we'll just be talking about how it works. So what are you going to need in order to start out on Dojo? Well, first, you're going to need some fighters here. You can't just use any character. Well, you kind of can, but what you need to do first is register them with the KFI command. So if I just have a look at my collection here, we'll take a random character. Yeah, Christina Lenz, she's popular. There you go, look. Source trading tag, Christina Lenz. So if I try and register her, then it's going to say it costs 1 ticket to register, and that will give this card permanent access to the dojo. Now note that the card is not anything relating to you, so you can trade fighters. So if you want to buy a fighter, you can do. And also this means that unlike the whole visiting system and Koibidos and stuff, it is tied to the card rather than the character. So you could have multiple fighters of the same character and they would be different, which is debatably good and bad. But yeah, so there you go, it's tied to the card. And then we get to choose a technique. Now, I'm not really going to explain what the techniques are in this video because I will probably do a separate video on that as well. But what you should know is that Spirit is the free one. You can always pick Spirit. And then these 4 here, you need scrolls. If you remember back to the rewards that we got at the start of November, the voting rewards for October, the start of November, therefore, people with gold tier, I believe, I think you had to have gold, but yeah, were awarded with a scroll. So I got the balance scroll, and if I wanted, I could set this character to balance instead. Now, it really doesn't matter. Spirit is fine. It's not that these ones are particularly better. Spirit is fine. I would say, honestly, my brief opinion is that Endurance is really good. I would recommend having Endurance a go if you want to be properly into it. But other than that, Spirit is probably the second best. So this is fine. Go for Spirit, and when you first start out, regardless of whether you have a scroll or not, I would recommend using Spirit. Just because you don't want to waste a scroll on a fighter that you don't actually know is good or not. Right, so you should just go with Spirit to start out, and once you figure out how things work and you've decided which one you actually want to go with, then you can maybe change stuff up. And then I can press select Spirit here and it'll cost me a ticket and it'll register them. I'm not actually going to do that because I don't want to spend a ticket, but what I am going to do is show you what it looks like when you have them registered. So if we then do fighter info, we'll see a bunch of buttons. So it'll say their level, it'll say their ascensions, technique, all the rest of it. And there's a few tabs here, and I'm going to briefly explain each tab. We have actions, which allows you to rebirth or ascend. In order to ascend, you have to be level 100. What this does is it resets their level and their experience. Rerolls a perk set of your choice, which I didn't really understand what that meant, but we'll get to it in a little bit. And then increases your ascensions by 1. It costs a varying amount of currency. Then you have rebirth as well, which also resets all of this stuff, also resets the ascensions, costs always 30 damage dust, and allows you to change technique. Now rebirth, I would say, is certainly worth doing. If you find someone that you want to use as a fighter, and you want to make sure you get good perks on them, you can just sit and repeatedly rebirth in order to reroll all the perks that exist. And you'll get a different potential set of perks here, which is really important, and you can just keep rebirthing until you get the ones that you want, which is quite nice. Would recommend doing that if you're looking for some particular perks. Ascension, obviously, you can do that when you get to 100, so that's all. Then we will go on to the perks. So here we go. We have some perks, 3 perks here. The first 3 perks that I got are Crowd Favorite, Adaptation, and Soul Drain. All 3 of these, pretty good perks. And this is the perk that I get at level 1. Now what I can do is I can toggle these on and off. Green means it is in my deck, and when I go to fight, I can use it. Grey means that it is not in my deck, and I will not get to use it when I go to fight. When you first start out, you're probably going to want to have all 3 of these on green, but some of them might be bad, in which case you want to not. And then as you level up, you will unlock new perks. So when you get to level 5, you will get 3 new perks, and you have to pick one of them. The level 1 ones, you get all 3, but onwards from that, you have to pick one of them. As you can see, I picked Healing Wind over Light Burst and Bolster. Actually, all 3 of those are pretty good. In fact, looking at this again, I wonder maybe I should have picked Bolster instead, because Bolster's pretty good. But anyway, yeah, these are the 3 that I got at level 5, and then you see when you get to level 10, you get another 3. I picked Surge. Surge is the best perk in the game, basically, so definitely take Surge. And this goes on. Every 5 levels, you get some new perks that you unlock. So you see I can look down all the way to level 90. Now I haven't got to these perks yet because I'm not level 90. It's actually not updated. That's kind of weird. Okay, we got it fixed. But actually temporarily went down for a second there, so that was fun. But anyway, yeah, so we can click all the way to level 90 and we see the perks that we're going to get at that point. But as you can see, the buttons are gone because I'm not yet level 90 and I can't take these ones. So the point is, as you level up more, you're going to unlock more perks, and because you get a choice of 3 each time, in theory you can kind of fine-tune your build for whatever you're trying to go for. Next up, we have the attributes and the stats thing. I think I'm going to need to send this again. Oh boy. Okay, it's back again. So if we go to attributes, we'll see we have some affinities and traits. Gonna be honest with you, I don't really know what these mean. They don't seem to affect anything at the moment. I would assume that this affects the types of cards that you can draw, types of perks, sorry. When you rebirth, all of that stuff gets reset. Shut up right now, thank you. Yeah, I would assume that this affects what perks you can draw, but I have very commonly drawn 2 sets of identical perks with almost exact opposites on affinities and traits, so I'm not really sure how it affects it. You can ignore all of this. Let's go. I don't know, maybe if it becomes relevant I'll make another video on it, but for now you can ignore all of this. And then we'll also have stats. Highest level defeated, total experience gained, etc, etc. This is basically like KUI. In fact, I think this stuff has been directly moved from KUI? I'm not sure. KUI was updated recently. Just another update to add to the list, huh? But yeah, so we've just got some nice stats here. Then we have the buttons down the bottom. I've discussed actions already. Then we have practice, which is just like a sandbox mode. Wouldn't really bother with practice much if I were you, although you can. You don't get the rewards from it and you don't get injured. We'll discuss that in a minute. And then we have enter dojo. One thing that I did forget to mention is that I said we would go over the Ascension thing. When it says that you re-roll one set of perks, you pick one of these levels, right? So I could say re-roll the level 41, and then I would get new perks for these level 41s, if that's something that I wanted to do. You probably want to do this when you ascend. It's probably good. You can fine-tune your build even further, which is great. But that's what it means. If we click on Enter Dojo, we get back to this screen. This is the same screen that we were on when we typed K Dojo, and as you can see, we can see our 3 fighters. You get to put 3 fighters on a team, and you can edit the perks of any of them if you want. We can set them as well so that they are a different card, and when you, of course, first start out, you're gonna have no teams. So if we do the K-Dojo command, you can see I select my team 1. I can also make a new team, which will look like this. And what I need to do is press set and then enter the card code here. So that's pretty simple. I'm just going to delete that team though, because I only need 1 team. What we then do is we pick the team we want to go in and we press fight. You will see 3 buttons: training, competition, and showdown, as we have down here. Competition's showdown modes will open at a later date, and we click training. When you go into training, you get to pick one of your 3 fighters. This is why you have 3. So your team does not all fight at once. In that sense, you only actually need 1 fighter in your team. In fact, the XP that you get is split among them. So you may only want to put 1 person in your team, so you level that 1 person up faster. But equally, Eris is my best fighter. If I want to be leveling up Yang, for example, I can level up Yang using Eris. Think about it like Pokemon, if you know how Pokemon works, right? You put the lower leveled Pokemon in with the high level one that goes and fights everything and gets all the XP, and these ones get a share of it, so you don't have to use them in fighting, and you still level them up, right? That's kind of how I think about it. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and pick Eris, because Eris is my best fighter, and it will tell me what level my opponent is going to be. Now, on round 1, your opponent is always the same level as you, so don't worry about it. If you're just starting out, your opponent will be level 1, the same as you. Of course, mine is level 75, because my Eris is level 75. And then as you go up the rounds, it will be a higher level than you. We're going to go ahead and click the fight button, and we get put in with this screen. Now, when you start a training, you always go first. So you see round 1 has begun. People are gaining some stuff based on some stuff that I'm not going to discuss. Don't worry about it. Stuff has happened. And then we start. We have a list of skills here, as you can see. Now, this fast skills thing is the first thing you're going to want to note. If I have fast skills off, which is the default, what it means is I can click on one of these skills and it will tell me what it does here. Blocks 7 damage. Double KI burst deals 10 damage twice. If you're just starting out, you probably want this off, so you can read what each of your skills is doing before you use it. I'm going to use Crowd Favorite because it is my opener. Openers are good. And I can press the Use button down here in order to use it. However, if you know what all of your skills do, you can put fast skills on. That means as soon as you press a skill, it uses it automatically. It doesn't give you any description. So if you know what all of your skills do, just based off the names here, have fast skills on. It's a bit faster. You can use 3 actions in a turn, so you can see I've used Crowd Favorite and I've used Block, and I have 1 action remaining, but I can no longer afford any of my skills. If I try and use one, it's not going to work, so I should end my turn, basically. And this is because they have costs. Surge here costs 2 power. 2 spirit, because I'm a spirit person. You can see this costs 1 spirit, this costs 3 spirit, and this costs 2 spirit. The amount of spirit I have is here. You start the game, if you are a spirit user, with 1 spirit. This is where your technique comes into play. So, for example, if you're balance or endurance or something like that, it works a bit differently. But for spirits, you start with 1, and then you get 2 the next turn, and so on. Like I said, I'll make a different video about techniques, so don't worry about it right now. But I have no spirit left, and all of my skills cost spirit. So despite having 1 action remaining, I'm going to end my turn. Right, it will then say what I did with my turn. So I press next turn, and we see Obama here, who I'm apparently fighting, does his 3 things. He's done 2 punches and an adaptation. And that was his turn. He also lost 2 grand plans through forget. Rookie move, Obama. Grand plan is OP. Anyway, we now start our turn with 3 spirit. I know I said you would start with 2, but I have a vigor, so I start with 3. Just don't worry about the amount of spirit that you have. We have 3 spirit. Therefore, we can do 3 spirit worth of stuff. I'm going to start with a sweep kick, which cost me 1 spirit. You can see my spirit goes down by 1, and I have 2 actions remaining. And sweep kick let me draw another skill. So I now have another card. I drew barrage. So I'm going to use barrage. That does another 15 damage. Now, here's another thing that I'm going to point out. If we look at our health bar, we can see I am currently at 120 health, which is my max. But I'm going to go down to 98. That's because Obama here attacked me. This is the little red bit of the health bar, right? The red bit shows how much health I'm losing. You can see on Obama we have the same thing. Because I've done a bunch of damage to Obama, he's going from 120 down to 88. You can see the red bit on his health bar. Now, any red health you can block with, for example, block. Block will block some damage. For me, it blocks 7. And you can see now, instead of going down to 98 or whatever it was, yeah, 98, I now am at 105. So I didn't lose quite as much health as I would have done otherwise. You always have the opportunity to block damage, direct damage anyway, and you can block all of it. So in theory, you don't take any damage at all if you keep blocking it. Always make sure you know how much damage you're going to take at the end of the turn so you can block it if necessary. You can see Obama here blocks some of my damage, so he only went down to 102, right? He's also used an ignite here. So I'm going to continue on playing. I do a punch. Because I had 2 punch, I get a nice little repeat button down here, so I can repeat the punch and do a second one. And then I'm going to do a double KI burst as well, which does a bunch more damage, and so on. I'm just going to quickly play through the rest of this round, just so you get the ideas. Worth noting as well that we have a bunch of status effects down here. Again, I'm not going to explain those in this video. Probably don't worry about them. However, if there is anything you want to know, you'll notice these are all blue links. You can click on any of these and it will open up the Karuta Dojo description thing, which I will just quickly flip to now. Here we go. So I clicked on the armor one and it says armor absorbs damage, is absorbed up to the current amount of armor, decreases armor by the amount of damage absorbed. So there you go. That's what that one does. If you're interested in what any of the effects do, have a look at that. Would recommend. And anyway, yeah, let's just keep playing through this round. Probably shouldn't take too long because it's only round 1, and it shouldn't be too hard to defeat the round 1-1. When you first start out, it will be a little harder, but once you've got a good build going, you shouldn't have too much problems up against the lower rounds. And there we go, that's the end of the battle. I probably skipped the end there because not much happened. But as you can see, I did a bunch of damage, and then Obama tried to block it. He blocked 15 here, he put some regen on here, but he still lost. He was at -5 health at the end. So I won the battle and we get finish. When I press finish, it's going to tell me the amount of XP that I get. You can see Eris is going to get 50. And then Hisoka and Yang will get 25 each. That's because, of course, Eris was the fighter that I actually used in the fight, so therefore she gets a bit more XP than the other 2. Yang is going to level up with her 25 XP, and because she is currently at level 4, when she levels up, she will hit level 5 and unlock a new perk. Now I have 2 options. I can either retire, which means I stop the fight, or I can select my fighter again and go in for round 2. You can see if I do that, they will be level 83, which is a bit more than 75. 75 being the level of my Eris. Round 2 is going to be harder, but I get more XP if I do it. So I might want to continue on. However, there is very much a disadvantage for doing this, because if you fight and lose, not only do you not get any of the rewards of the previous rounds, but your fighter gets injured. What this means is when choosing your fighter, perhaps I should have mentioned this at the start of the video, when choosing your fighter, you should probably choose someone that you are able to heal through injuries. These are the same injuries as workers get, So this is probably someone that you have visited, you're a Koibito of, you've got a lot of AP, maybe you've got some bandages and you can heal anyone, something like that. So the 3 that I chose is Eris, who I'm the Koibito of and have AP on, Hisoka, who I use as a worker in my job board and therefore have AP of, and Yang, who I'm also a Koibito of and also have AP of. You can see what I'm doing here. This means that if one of them does get injured, I can visit them, heal them up, and carry on fighting in the dojo. Very nice. You are not going to get to very high levels very quickly if you are not able to heal them, because sometimes they will die. Once you get a really good build going, like I say, you can continue fighting further and further rounds. I found myself being able to fight round 5 without too much difficulty with my Eris, which is pretty nice. I get a lot of XP for doing that. But obviously, if I'm not able to get a good build when I first start out, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to get injured a lot. I'm going to need to spend a lot of AP healing. When I first started out, actually, I was mostly using Hisoka, and I've spent a lot of AP on Hisoka, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, there you go. Make sure that you pick someone with AP, and then you can keep healing them. You can keep fighting. As you keep fighting, you will keep leveling up. You will keep getting perks, and in theory, your build gets better. That's pretty much everything I think that you need to know for dojos, at least to get yourself started. Like I say, there's a lot of strategy that we can talk about. Just generally knowing what the perks do, what the effects do, all of that kind of thing. Probably going to need to learn some of that stuff if you want to get heavily involved in dojos, but I will make another video about that kind of thing, because this one has gone on long enough already, I think. Hopefully that explained everything that you need to know and you can get yourself started. It's not too complicated once you know what's going on, of course, like most things. And if you are a not bot player, I do think you will have an easier time, because it is similar to how Notbot works, in the sense that we are fighting and we are choosing what actions we take, all the rest of it. There are probably other bots as well that are like this. But anyway, yeah, that's that. I think I will be ending this video here, and look forward to more videos on dojos in the future, as well as, of course, the Christmas event and everything else that's going on. For now, bye!